everyone. You know, Rob and I agreed to not have baby anymore. But
there's going to be a baby in this family. So we got really big stuff to talk about, Chrissy. We kicked your brother out of the house.
we kicked everyone out.
We kicked everyone out, actually. We're going to talk to you about that. We're on our way up to the Dato's house. He's the indigenous chief. There's going to be a ceremony, Chrissy, to for both of these houses. Our house, which is under construction, the White House, and Chrissy's sister, we got a roof going on. We got purlins and beams, roof beams going up, and there's a lot of progress there. We're going to go up to the Datu's house, Chrissy, and talk about this festival.
The preparation that we need to do.
We're going to talk about this baby situation, and we're going to get to that in a second. But first, what's the deal? I got to buy a pig and 9 chickens.
Yes, there's a lot of preparations that we need to do for the ritual or blessing of the construction. Actually, technically, we need to do that before the construction, but we were not briefed so much. So we had to do it late, but at least we got a chance to do it.
We are going to have to buy a pig and procure 9 chickens. Chrissy has her indigenous costume.
Coming up next month, and
Okay.
I think we're gonna make video about
Well, that
it.
was interesting, Chrissy. Everything's on schedule. We just have to get this pig.
30 to 45
Pounds?
kilos.
Kilos. That's a big pig. So check this out. Chrissy's sister's house is really coming along.
Yeah, they started to build the roof already.
Yeah, the beams and the purlins. Now they got these 6-meter purlins and roof rafters, and it is really coming along. They're building with an architect. It's going to pop up really fast. This property, by the way, this is where Chrissy's sister's property begins, right here, okay? And it goes all the way up to our property, the driveway, and then it includes 20 meters down the hill over this berm. And we're going to show you that as we walk up here. I'm going to show you this property. You'll find that very interesting. So we got really big stuff to talk about, Chrissy. We kicked your brother out of the house.
We kicked everyone out.
We kicked everyone out, actually. We're going to talk to you about that. You know, I caught so much grief for the amount of money I was spending to support all these family members. And, you know, we're whittling it back. I only really pay for people who work for me and some of the young people. And here on the left, ooh, traffic coming by. Here on the left is where we dug a lot of this dirt out. And one day this may be a driveway. All this land, all the way past the end of our property, so at least another 80 meters down this road belongs to Mimi. Now let's go up here, Chrissy, before we talk about this baby and show people this land here.
It's not clean. There might be snakes.
There could be snakes. Okay, so from way down here, maybe 50 meters down, all the way down to the creek. There's a creek down here, and all the way down about 80 meters that side. It keeps people from building. The primary purpose was to make room for this road and to make it so nobody could open a sorry store and play music across the street. Let me just walk down to the end of the property. And you don't get to see this view too often. But yeah, all along here, 20 meters, 28 meters, I think, down to the creek is owned by Chrissy's sister. And here's another view of this property. Our property goes all the way down to here. Okay, let's get back to the property. We got a lot to talk about. We kicked your brother out. We made a decision to return Precious, your 8-year-old half-sister, to the mountain. We made the decision because there's a baby coming. And we need to let's sit down.
The baby was the one
That caused all the trouble.
caused all the changes.
Yeah, if Precious would still be going to private school and living in Cagayan de Oro, if it wasn't for the baby. Let's sit down and talk about this. Okay, Chrissy, we need to tell everybody about this baby.
Everything was in a fine arrangement when it comes to like family members. But because of this baby that is coming on our way, we have to
had
change.
to kick more people out of the house.
It's just like a domino. One baby and it affects everyone
It
else.
affects everybody. If you saw our budget video from a while back, you know that I hire Chrissy's father, who's about 53.
54.
54, and his 20-year younger age gap significant other who's 29, and they work as our driver, our housekeeper, our nanny, our laundress, cook, bottle washer, everything. And we pay them the equivalent of really just one full-time nanny's salary. They get their meals and their board included, and that really makes it, much more expensive than just a regular salary. And their family. And then here in the mountain, we need a caretaker. It's not the kind of place you can just build a house and leave it. And Uncle James retired as a foreman for a large subdivision builder, and he is our caretaker, and he's building the house while on his caretaker salary, and we pay the other workers independently. So I just don't give money away to family members. Now, it was crazy. About 8 months ago, when the house had to be built, Uncle James came with your mother, and they brought along Precious, who is
my half-sister.
Who was 7 back then, your half-sister, because we wanted her to go to private school. And they brought your brother, Dan, who was 19 back then. And we weren't expecting Dan to show up, but he showed up, and all of a sudden, we had 5, me, Chrissy, our son, CJ, who back then was 6. So me, Chrissy, CJ is 3. Popsy and his significant other made 5. Momsy made 6, Uncle James made 7, Precious made 8, Dan made 9, and we had introduced your sister Mimi to a foreigner from America, and he had come, met her, and convinced her to quit her job, and we invited her to stay with us for a few months while he was settling his affairs in America. So we had 10 people living in the house. And our grocery bill back then was stupid. We were spending like $1,000 a month on groceries. And then we had 2 families on the payroll. Uncle James had his caretaker salary, and Popsy and his significant other had their housekeeper salaries. And other than that, we were sending your half-sister Precious to private school. It was about $5,090 a month for tuition, probably $90 a month to, buy supplies, feed her, and things like that. It was a lot, and a lot of people had a lot of comments.
So when the house here started to be built, my mom and my stepfather moved here and left Precious in our care because we promised to put Precious into private school.
And it was my idea that I didn't want to raise an only child, and Precious is only a year older than CJ. And your mother and Uncle James were very anxious about being away from Precious. They would come down 2 nights a week, one night to do laundry. They would pick Precious up Friday afternoon at noon and bring her to the mountain. And we never really felt like we adopted Precious, that we had a nuclear family with Precious.
So that has been going on for 1 year, that kind of arrangement.
And it would still be going on, except for this new baby that has shown up.
Yes. So my brother, Dan, is always not at home, and he still need the parents' guidance all the time. And I just don't want to be responsible of like watching him wherever he goes. So I put that responsibility up on my father because he's there living with us in the house.
So summer break came along, Chrissy, and Precious got to come up to the mountain full time. That kind of relieved your mother and Uncle James's stress. And then a big announcement showed up.
As you remember, Rob and I went for 1 week in Boracay.
Yes.
And then on the way back home, the announcement was made that my father's girlfriend is pregnant. And we just don't want any baby anymore in the house, because if we wanted to, I could have my own. Yeah,
when I met Chrissy, it was important to me that we agree that we weren't going to have any more children. And Chrissy had a 4-year-old son at that time. And one of the first things we agreed on, we weren't going to have children, and we would have childcare. I wasn't planning to raise the child by myself without any childcare. And now Chrissy would like to have another child. All Filipinas seem to want a mestiza or mestizo half-white baby. And there may come a day where we decide to do that, but really it would be our decision to have a child in the house. And what happened is Chrissy's father announced that he's having a baby and he's living in our home, and we had to figure out what to do. So Chrissy, this was just shocking to me. The idea of having a pregnant woman in the house reminding you that I don't want to give you a baby. I mean, you would like, once a month you ask, even though we agreed years ago. And if you see a pregnant woman having cravings and her belly growing, this to me is a really worst case scenario.
Well, for me, if we are going to deal with pregnant woman in the house and I can't even have my own baby if I wanted to, because that's the deal about. So we would rather have our life back without the pregnant woman.
So this was like a lightning bolt. And culturally, this is very difficult to navigate. You know, here in the Philippines, people are very indirect. Nobody's willing to say what they mean. Nobody's confrontational. Saving face is important. I decided, like, hey, I didn't want a pregnant woman falling down the steps. I didn't want a pregnant woman in the house reminding Chrissy that I wouldn't give her a baby. And we made some decisions, Chrissy. The first decision we made was to return Precious, your half-sister, to her parents here in the mountain.
Yeah, the main reason is that my father will be the only one part-time nanny for my son, and we cannot leave my half-sister just with my father's care only.
You can't really leave a young 8-year-old girl with a man as the babysitter, and he's not related. So that became very problematic, and we tried to craft solutions where she could continue to go to private school. So we told your mom and Uncle James that we would continue to be her sponsor. Yeah. We would pay for her school clothing, her school supplies. We would pay for her food. And so we're going to be financially we're going to financially mentor your half sister and take her, and we'll probably bring her back to private school when she turns 14, when she's in high school. Chrissy, we made a decision. We didn't want a pregnant woman living in our house, and your father was going to have to relocate out of the house. Now, we would still employ him, and we'll get into the details of that, but we made a decision that when school started up again, June 28th, Popsy and his significant other would have to find other accommodations, and she would no longer work for us. We didn't want a pregnant woman who could do half the work or falling down or being the liability, and we don't want a baby in the house knocking things. We don't want to child-proof the house for a baby, and we don't want a baby over unless it's a birthday or a celebration. So we made the decision, Chrissy, that your father would move out and get his own accommodation before June 28th. And then, Chrissy, it came to your brother.
Yeah, along with that, since my brother is still under my father's care, so he needs also to relocate. And then my sister paid for his boarding house near the school, and we're paying still of his tuition fee.
I mean, it was weird having him live there. He kind of came home at weird hours. He's pleasant. He ate a lot. And it was, you never knew when you locked up the house whether he was coming home, where he was when he was coming home.
Yes, and we're so busy. I just can't have full attention to track where he is, when is he coming home. Right. It's just a lot of work for me.
So your sister Precious moved to the mountain. Uncle James lives in the mountain. Momsy lives in the mountain. Your father's moving out. His significant other's moving out. It didn't make sense to leave your brother Dan and have a family of 4.
So we're back to our neutral family arrangement.
We are back. Yes.
But we're still getting a little bit of help from my father.
A little bit. We have issues this weekend we're going to talk about. Well, anyway, so we kicked your brother out, and he had to land on his feet. We said, hey, as long as you get passing grades, we'll pay for tuition. Look, tuition only costs $1,000, including all the supplies for he's studying. He finished his freshman year, he passed. He's got 3 more years. People are always yelling at us that I'm paying for stuff. I'm paying. It's, we're married. We've been together it's our 4th year. I got about $40,000 US up here in the mountain property and my end of the thing. And I got $1,000 a year towards your brother. CJ, my stepson, $1,000 a year for tuition. And I have to pay for childcare, whether it's your father or not. I have to pay for a caretaker and a contractor in the mountain, whether it's your uncle or not. But we are back down to our core nuclear, Chrissy, me, and C. We're back down to 3. Now, we do pay we asked Popsy, and we said, hey, you can work part-time. We need a driver.
Same salary.
Same salary, even though it's only one person. No more laundress, no more cook, no one work in the kitchen. We don't have 2 children at home anymore. It's just one child. And
He will only stay in the morning from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then in the afternoon, he really doesn't need to be in our house. He only need to pick up my son in the school, watch him in the soccer training, and then bring him home for dinner, prepare for his dinner, and he can go home. So it's like a really part-time job for the same salary.
And CJ's turned 7, and he's a bright, pretty agreeable kid. So normally we would have, or in the new routine, we would have Popsy part-time, and we would have, your sister has now moved to Cagayan de Oro. Chrissy, you have a younger sister who's married, and her husband got a job as an auto mechanic just 2 kilometers away from where we live. And she has a 4-year-old, and she's very helpful when we need backup help, and she can watch the house. If we go on vacation, she can move in. And your mother's here in the mountain, and we can just bring CJ and drop him here for the week or drop him here. And we have a driver, but Chrissy, we are in a pinch right this minute. So her
since the announcement, we really had this like a gap in our relationship with the family members.
Yes.
Because of the decision that we made that they need to be
right. Because
separately.
look, when you live in a beautiful suburban home, you can bank your entire salary. You get unlimited food, like you're living in a restaurant, and now you got to pay for your own rental property and feed your pregnant wife and baby and 1 meal a day for yourself. The economics are really ugly. I mean, it really is ugly. Now, Chrissy, your sister's in a boarding house. Her husband's a mechanic. They have a salary and she does some TikTok money, but they're just paying like 2,000 pesos a month for a boarding room.
Yes.
And your father is struggling to find, there's another room in the same place for 2,000, but it's small. He's very unhappy. And he's struggling to figure out whether he can make this work. You offered him $50 a month, 2,500 pesos towards a 5,000 peso per month rental, which is a much nicer place. It's hard to believe, but much, much nicer place. And this particular day, today, and this week, we are going through a little bit of a problem.
What day are we now? We're in the 6th?
Day 5, maybe
7.
day 6. Your father, Chrissy, announced abruptly that he was going home to get supplies from 5 hours away because he'll be renting an apartment. He needs bedding and things he has back at home.
Usually they will be gone for 3 days.
Usually 3. They say they'll be gone 3. They come home on the 4th day. So he gave us 4 hours notice and poof, he left. And we didn't know when he'd be back, and we were left with CJ. Now, we work, we do consultations. Chrissy does these open source social media reviews, and we're recording YouTube, and we're doing stuff. Editing. We're working a lot. And so we've had a 7-year-old full time. And your father, I don't know if he did this on purpose or not, but he picked the time that your sister and your mother would not be in town and would be home for a family reunion. And your brother would be taking a college course.
So everybody's out.
Everybody's out. They're going to be gone 9 days, unannounced, last second, 4 hours notice, left us in the lurch.
Yeah.
What do you say to that?
It's part of the struggle because of this particular baby that's coming on our way. I mean, my take on this is that I could deal a crying baby at night, a toddler that will break all your stuff in the house if it's my baby.
If it's your baby.
But if it's not my baby, it's a challenge. So
what do you think? Are we horrible people for asking Chrissy's father and his significant other to move out 5 months before the baby's due? We offered them the same pay for half the work, half the hours, actually. 1 person instead of 2 for half the hours. CJ's getting older. Precious is away. Do you think that was the wrong decision? Did it clash culturally? Am I going to pay long term? Am I going to get more of these absences at the last minute that leave us in the lurch? It's sort of like a tampo, right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think.
What do you think the people are going to say? Comment below. Tell us if we made the wrong move. Should we just say, forget it, we're not going to hire any family anymore?
Comment down below if I'll just have my own kid.
I want to talk about something I read yesterday in the newspaper. I thought it was fascinating. A lot of people at home are NFL fans and the National Football League, and they're crazy about football. A lot of Americans are just crazy about football. But I read that there are 32 teams in the NFL, and this last season, 9 teams fired their head coach. And we're talking about personnel issues here, right? 9 teams fired their head coach, and a 10th team, the coach quit. So 10 out of 32 teams, it went poop. The whole thing didn't work out. And Chrissy, we're always talking to the men about vetting, how important it is to vet your Filipina, even if you've met in person several times. Just today, we did a review for a man who'd been to the Philippines 6 times and had met his Filipina, but still wanted to have that base touch. When it comes to the assignment of finding a wife, finding a long-term girlfriend in another culture, in a 18-hour plane ride away, speaking other languages, communicating with other people in other languages you can't read or understand, if you think you don't need to vet, if you think you don't need to hire hard, think again. Look at the resources these NFL teams have. Most of these teams are owned by captains of industry, people who've proven they know how to make money, proven they know how to hire, proven they know how to manage, and yet with all the vetting, and these coaches were head coaches of high school teams, college teams, assistant coaches of
Why
NFL.
they were fired?
They didn't do the job. People get fired because they made a bad hire. When you're fired, it means you made a bad hire, okay? And my point to the audience at home is I'm always preaching hire hard so you can manage easy. As a man in the West, you want to come to the Philippines, not for the infrastructure, not for the healthcare, not for the food. You're coming for the Filipina, okay? And it's really important, like these NFL teams, that you don't have to let the person go after a year or 2 seasons, that they don't quit on you. These organizations have consultants and psychologists and data, and they go through interview after interview. You know, the article said that when you hire somebody, the easiest thing to do is ask them to do a task. Let's say you're hiring a chef, Chrissy. Ask them to make a meal. Okay, they make this fantastic meal. But how well will they manage 9 other kitchen staff? Will everybody follow the leadership? Will everybody be fighting with each other? So they default to an interview. And so often, Chrissy, during our consultations, our big brother, little sister consultations, men say, I'm positive. Oh, I'm positive she's perfect. I'm positive. Because the interview went well, or the vacation went well. A week in El Nido was glorious. So I just want to say that if you have the same amount of money you'd spend on dinner for 2 with a couple of glasses of wine, Chrissy does these social media, open source intelligence background reviews for basically the cost of dinner out on a blind date with 2 glasses of wine. And I would tell anybody, never. We didn't say this initially, but after hundreds and hundreds of consultations, and Chrissy, you've done 6 a week of these, last week's 7, for the last 8 weeks, and only 40 to 50% get a clean sheet. And the pass-fail ratio for men who've already met in person and men who've never met is the same. It's crazy why it's the same. I don't know why, but it is. So if the NFL can't figure out how to hire a coach with all the resources and all the previous seasons in junior college and college coaching, why would you trust your own instincts, and why wouldn't you have somebody help you vet? And if you don't want to vet with Chrissy, we do have a 13-page social media review guide. If you're great with technology and you have a mind like Sherlock Holmes, even though you don't read the language, you don't know how to find the hidden pages the way Chrissy does, write us and we'll send you that PDF. Now, Chrissy, we're going to hold our breath and see if your father comes back.
Well, I think we didn't hire that.
We didn't do enough vetting. Well, we did vet him. The first year, Chrissy, you said we could live alone without your kid, without CJ, and I took you up on it, so we made sure we were a match. But we would bring him up every 6 weeks. Sometimes we brought him alone, and sometimes we brought him with your father and his significant other, and it was always better with them. And we've had a good run with them, but every 6 months there's sort of
There's
a
a
hiccup.
drama.
There's some drama, and
There's always a drama.
There's
That's why
drama.
that is why it's not really ideal to
higher
live
family.
with family members.
Yes. Well, in between the drama and the hiccups, he's outstanding. I love your father. He's a great guy, and you know, if he doesn't want to work for us, no hard feelings. It's not going to be a problem to hire another Filipino to fill in. But you like a relative, so no one can ever chastise you if, God forbid, there's an accident that you left your child with a stranger. But yeah, we're pretty sure they're coming back, and we're going to move into this new arrangement. We actually have started to spend the nights alone, just CJ, you and me. We're quite excited. It feels like a family. Living with 10, for a while there, we had 10, 11 people in the house.
Yeah, I think if we didn't work, like we're really like retired people who doesn't know what to do with their time, it's not really a problem to have a kid that will be associated with our life full time.
Yeah, well, 7-year-old is not a problem. He's really bright and he's cute. It's just like any 7-year-old. It's summer vacation. You know, there's no swim camp. There's no camp. There's not a lot of activities. I'm willing to spend the money. It is just not much to program him into. So he's kind of bored, and where he's used to having 2 adults follow him around. If he wants to go outside, someone watches him play. We don't allow him in the street unless there's an adult. So he's just used to having all that freedom and attention, and we are used to having freedom and not his attention.
So we're embracing a big changes in our life. I hope that it's for the better.
And there's a new baby in your family, and I am here to say it's not your baby, although that may disappoint you. And I don't want to say that I'll never change my mind. So, Chrissy, what do you think about the cultural take of your family members? We kicked your brother out. We told your father he had to move out. Don't have the baby in our house. And I'm complaining because I can't handle your kid after 3 days. What do you think the aunts, the uncles, your mother, your sister, what do you think everybody's saying behind our back?
No matter what they say, the most affected here is me because I am your wife. I am like sandwiched in the situation. But yeah, it's my fault as well because I didn't really hire hard.
Well, we could have. We didn't hire hard. Well, you know, in between the drama, your father is a superstar, and his significant other does a good job too. We've had no complaints. It's just we do get some drama every 6 months, and people are always telling us not to hire family, and those moments are the moments they're talking about. What does your family have to say? What do you think they say?
I really don't know what they say, but whatever it is, I'm okay with our
What do you think? Comment below. Don't forget, we're going to do another construction update. Big changes next door at your sister's house, Chrissy. Till next time.
Only here from Fly Me to the Philippines.